Hi guys, it's Jessica here for a bit of an update, Dolly Rambles, Life Rambles update type of video. I do have a lot of Dolly stuff to share with you guys, but there's been a lot of stuff going on in my personal life that I kind of didn't know if I really wanted to talk about too much here, but it is affecting the Dolly hobby. And I know that there's people here who do, care about hearing about their friends. It's not just Dolly stuff. So feel free to skip ahead on this stuff. But might notice that my hair is no longer pink and purple. um, it's I recently a couple days ago went back in and had a little more of a conservative color put in, and that is because I am once again looking for more work and doing some interviews. One of the places I interviewing at looked up a picture of the practice owner, and he's an old white guy, so figured I'd try to help myself out a little bit there with not having pink hair, which is kind of too bad, but it's life, and so why I'm looking for and going and doing these interviews. I recently got laid off from one of my jobs. I will say that it was one of my jobs. And a small percentage, because I'm what's called a relief veterinarian. I do locum work. So substitute, it's kind of essentially like a substitute veterinarian, or somebody needs to take a vacation, so they need a veterinarian to come in. And so I do a lot of that work. And also, I have several different hospitals where I have pretty steady employment, but it's all on a kind of a part-time basis. So, but this one that I recently was laid off from definitely has hit me pretty hard. Yeah, it hurts financially, and there's things I can do. I mean, it's not hopeless, and I will plug this hole in my schedule. But emotionally, it's been pretty hard, and definitely affecting me, kind of going through a bit of a grieving, which is really what it is, because this was something that was an important part of my life, and now it's gone. But this was the hospital that I worked at every Friday for the last 9 years. And so I had a lot of relationships with clients. I watched my patients grow up and grow old, some there to put them to sleep when they couldn't go on. And so there's a lot of emotional attachment to the place that was this part of my life for the last 9 years. And so I really loved the staff. The staff were great. It just was a place that I really genuinely enjoyed working at. And so it's very hard that is now gone, basically. And it's one of those things that when you look back at how things were going and some of the changes that were being made, that maybe that should have been anticipated, but hindsight's always 2020, right? It's basically I need to plug this hole in my schedule one day a week. But that's not always the way it works. Employers might not want to take someone on just one day a week. They might need 2 or 3 days. So this might potentially mean other changes in my schedule, depending on what comes up. Maybe meaning cutting back at other places. I know that I can't and I won't do the 6-7 days a week work schedule. I just, it's just too much. And most veterinary hospitals, it's 9-10 hours. So I'm really looking and trying to keep it to 4 days a week, because it's just, and that's considered part-time, guys. uh, working 35 hours a week, or 38 hours a week is considered part-time. And a lot of people's mentality in this profession. So, when you say that you want to work part-time, people think that you want 4 10s or something. I don't know. But anyways, some health things have been going on too, and I kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. I've had some chronic health issues for several years now. Definitely been a big impact on my life. I have autoimmune conditions, and one thing that's known about autoimmune conditions is that you will get other autoimmune conditions. But I was recently diagnosed with autoimmune thyroiditis, and it's basically where your immune system attacks the thyroid producing gland in your body. So you have a thyroid gland that produces thyroid hormone, and that controls your metabolism. There are snoring bulldogs all around. Can't have a video without snoring bulldogs. But anyways, so the repercussions of that are your metabolism is very low. You tend to gain weight, and you have energy problems, very fatigue issues. And I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome some years ago, with all these health issues that I had. I had putting it in a nutshell is hard, but several years back, I had a 9-centimeter ovarian tumor that they thought was cancer. Went in, did surgery, and thank goodness it wasn't cancer, but it was an endometrioma, which is caused by endometriosis. And it was the first time that it had been diagnosed, but it explained a lot of history and issues I'd had through my entire life. A lot of pain, and heavy menstrual cycles, and just lots and lots of pain issues that everybody would always blow off. But finally had that diagnosis, essentially, which thankfully it wasn't cancer, but it wasn't, it's this chronic condition that's never going to go away, basically. But anyways, I ended up getting a bad infection in my incision from the surgery. And I was on antibiotics for 6 weeks, if not longer, and developed a really bad, severe Clostridium difficile infection, which is a bacterial infection in your intestinal tract. And but it wasn't diagnosed for over a year. They put me through a lot of tests. There was one gastroenterologist who told me it was basically all in my head, that I wasn't handling my stress well, and that he was going to send me to a psychologist. And if I had listened to him and not pursued another second opinion, I would have died. And if I would have gotten pregnant, which was something that we were thinking about doing at that time, I would have miscarried, because I had a Clostridium difficile infection. So anyways, that took several years to get under control, but it triggered a lot of autoimmune issues. I have, at this point, I developed an autoimmune pernicious anemia, where my body was attacking intrinsic factors. So I have to have injections of vitamin B12, because I'm not able to absorb it from pills or diet. It's just, I have to have it through injection. And human beings need vitamin B12 or they will die. So there's just a lot of issues. And I did have hypothyroidism when I was in my early 20s, and I knew in my mind that I still had that. They just couldn't diagnose it. That's the problem with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, is that it can go up and down. Your thyroid level can go up and down, and so if they don't check it at the exact right time, it can be normal when you're not. But anyways, I lost a lot of weight. I lost a lot of weight with the C. diff infection. I lost 40 or 50 pounds just through basically starvation. I had gastritis and ulcers at that point, and the C. diff. So when I started to gain weight here recently, I thought, oh, this is a good thing. I'm getting better. I'm actually able to put on some weight, even though I wasn't eating anything more than I had before. I have a hard time eating because of the pain and the issues, but I just took this as a good sign. I'm getting better. No, I wasn't getting better. My hypothyroidism was just progressing, basically. So I've been on thyroid supplement for about 3 months, and I can't say that I notice much benefit at this point as far as my energy level. I have had more migraines, which they think could potentially be related to taking the thyroid supplement. But migraines they're multifactorial, so I don't know if I would blame it completely on that. But it's definitely been making things more challenging. Having been starting this new job at the cat-only veterinary clinic, basically starting this new position and being in charge of everything while I'm there, and then having migraines all the time. And I'm not a person who goes home or stops doing what I'm doing. So I just get through it, and then suffer the consequences later. But here we are 12 minutes in. I don't know, I don't know what I might do. I might make this its own video, or I don't know. But it's definitely been impacting things in the Dolly hobby, my personal hobby. The last week, especially with getting laid off from that job, and just emotionally being pretty upset about it, and kind of in this grieving cycle. At the same time, it's time to hit the pavement, basically, and start calling and pulling in the favors. Do you need any work, so that I can keep my income from taking too big a dip. So, it's going to mean not being able to do as much Dolly stuff, bring in as much Dolly stuff, and that's okay. I mean, it really is. If that's the worst thing that happens to me, and it's not like I don't have plenty of doll projects to keep me busy. I have a lot of dolls to work on, and maybe this means that I need to start painting these dolls instead of sewing things all the time. So I have plenty of things, and I have like 5 dolls paid off that I hope will come in this year. 3 doll she's and 2 Artifacts Kindred Twiggling girls. I have a Kalo and an ingenue that's in the silver resin, or kind of a purplish resin. So dolls it's not like I have no dolls. But I just kind of wanted to blab at you guys about it and kind of explain what's going on with me, because it is going to affect the doll hobby, and the fact that I don't have pink hair. Maybe it'll get to come back. Depending on how things go, I was thinking that maybe I would get a kind of a peekaboo thing down here, be a little more subtle, but lots of ums. Thanks for sticking with it this far. One of the other things that's been hard is that I lost my, I had a Colombian red-tailed boa, and he has been pretty sick. His health has not been good the last year or so. He was an old snake. I've had him since 2004, and he was probably 4 or 5 years of age when I got him then. So he was definitely getting up there and getting to be probably 20 or so, which is not a young snake. But that was hard too. I was kind of in the middle of all this stuff going on. Yeah. Well, there won't be any more. There's not going to be any more caged pets. I made that decision a long time ago. I had two snakes, a Puebloan milk snake, and she was pretty old too. She died several years back, but at the time when she died, I had already made the decision, like, there's not going to be any more caged animals. I just don't like it. I just don't like them being in a cage, and I just don't feel like I can take care of them the way they need to be taken care of. Like a dog or a cat, they share your living space. You can comfort them, cuddle on the couch, that sort of thing. You feel like their life is better because they live with you. But yeah, no more caged animals. That won't happen again at this point. That's okay. That's all right. He was a neat animal, and I got to experience keeping him. So I might, I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna come back. I will maybe make this its own video, but I do have a lot of Dolly updates for you guys that I wanted to share with you. So I might just cut this off and make another video. So take care, guys. Bye.